right, what are we running today, boys? Yo, Velt Hill Country for the map. Velt Hill Country, I hate that other map. Maybe we'll run the FAL. 11-inch 308. All right, Hill Country got voted in. It's a little too short, kind of a meme. So we got sight lines from 0 out to 500 yards, maybe the MRGG-A-ish. Maybe if I add a can to it. No, it's still a little too long, unwieldy. We don't need 6.5 out to 1,200 yards, so the Scar 17, tried and true. Old school G-Watt, the new school drip. New KDG mount 6, 16-inch barrel. Still a little bit too long for what I want. If I'm gonna shoot a 16-inch 308, the SDMR is the choice. MRGG-A if I'm going 16-inch 308, but I kind of want to go a little bit shorter. What about the MRGG-A? Things looking pretty sexy. Just won the contract. All it needs is a suppressor. Boom. All right, I'm running the MRGG-A, boys. Just needs one more thing. Drum mag. That's better.
Hostiles in the area. Reload.
Team deathmatch. Enemy threats in the AO. Weapons hot. Jaguar 3-0. Person. Enemy personal radar in here.
Ladies, gentlemen, and the often forgotten about by the mainstream media, but certainly not by me, non-binary school shooters, welcome back to the channel, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today we have a very special video for you guys. We're gonna be talking about one of the coolest guns in my collection, and that is the LMT MRGG-A you see behind me. Let's give LMT a round of applause for finally securing the contract that the internet decided they should have won months ago. Here it is in all of its glory. This is about as close to clone correct as you can get, and we'll talk about the specific parts as we go through the review. But just want to take a moment to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, guys. If you guys do want to support the channel, please head over to rangedaybro.com and you can find our discounts page over there, our loadouts page, which this guy does appear on, as well as signing up for our email list. And if you guys even enjoyed the intro a little bit, it would mean a lot to me if you guys liked, commented, and subscribed. You wouldn't believe how much time it took for me to edit that. Before we talk about the accuracy, the reliability, and the differences between the old version of this upper, the 12.5-inch, and the true clone correct upper, I want to take a moment to give you all a brief history on the MRGG program. In 2019, US SOCOM launched the mid-range gas gun program, aiming to replace older Mark 14s and SCAR rifles. The program aimed to replace the older rifles with something more accurate, lighter, and that had better ballistic performance out to longer ranges. The program was then split into two categories, the MRGG-S and the MRGG-A. The S stood for sniper variant that was awarded to Geisley Automatics in 2023 for a total of a $29 million contract over 10 years. Chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor with a 20-inch barrel, the rifle is less than 10.5 pounds and has ballistic capabilities far beyond 1,000 yards. The A stands for the Assaulter variant, which was recently awarded to LMT. This was a much larger 10-year contract, totaling $92 million and ending in 2035. The Assaulter variant that you see here in front of you has a 14.5-inch 6.5 Creedmoor barrel, and as you will see from the accuracy results, definitely delivers sub-minute accuracy, falling well within the requirements for the contract. Together, the MRGG-S and the A give SOCOM both a sniper rifle and a mid-range assaulter rifle designed to dominate mid-range engagements for the next 10 years. So as much as I want to congratulate LMT on that $92 million contract, I also hope you remember the civilian side and put a few of these things aside for us to buy at non-ridiculous aftermarket prices, because this is an absolutely phenomenal platform. So first and foremost, we're going to start off with accuracy. So right here, as you guys can see, we have a 12-round group. This is well within a 1-inch group at 100 yards. And I also did another 10-round group. This one actually 10 rounds this time. This time we had one flyer. I was shooting this at a much higher rate of fire and a much faster pace. And with that flyer, it is larger than a group. I believe it's 1.3 inches. I'll roll it in here on the screen. But without that flyer, it is, again, just under an inch. So 9-inch group, just under an inch in that one flyer that I definitely pushed there. That was me on the trigger, but some guys are going to be upset about it. But I'm not running cover for anybody. If the barrel sucked, I would tell you it sucked. But for me, for a 14.5-inch chrome line barrel, in a gas gun. I am very impressed with these results. Now, for full disclosure, that was shot using the SIG Elite OTM's 140 grain 6.5 Creedmoor ammunition. And I actually shot this gun in a local PRS match where I placed first place in my division. Calm down, that was out of 2 people. There was only me and one other guy in the gas gun division. For full disclosure, I shot pretty terribly, but if you guys have ever shot a PRS match, especially the ones out here in Central Texas, it is a very challenging endeavor, very small targets at intermediate to long ranges. I wouldn't say very long ranges. They're about 400 out to 750 yards-ish, but you're usually shooting at like a 6-inch plate, maybe sometimes an 8 or 10-inch plate, but typically a 6-inch or smaller at those distances is a pretty tough target to hit. I had some time behind it to shoot it in a PRS match. I had plenty of hits, a lot of misses as well, but I was a big fan of the way this thing handled the recoil impulse, and it was very easy to maneuver, as you can imagine, being a 14.5 around the barricades in and out of different positions. That was the biggest advantage that I had. It was really fun to take this gun and compete out there, and I recommend all you guys do the same if you have the time to. Hey guys, Editing Bro here to talk to you about today's video sponsor, Kinetic Development Group. I was a customer of KDG long before they ever decided to sponsor the channel. My Scar 17 has been almost unrecognizable for years now because of all the KDG drip that I put on it, and their products are in large part the only reason I still enjoy shooting that rifle. In addition to their super popular MRX rail, they do a ton of really cool stuff, including a Garmin mount for the Chrono that I've been using a ton lately, and they may or may not be coming out with an MRX Arca rail for the Scar 17S, which I may or may not be looking forward to very much. But they have a ton of really cool products, and they are an awesome company, so go check them out. Let them know Range Day Bro sent you, and use bro code RDB10 to save you 10% off at checkout. Very nice. So now that we've covered accuracy, let's move on to a very quick topic, which is reliability. We've had absolutely 0 reliability issues with this gun. So after the initial review up till this point in time, we got the new upper, we started putting more rounds through it. We have about 800 rounds through this rifle right now, which again doesn't seem like a lot, but 6.5 Creedmoor is very expensive. So if you guys do want to support the channel, it would mean a lot to me if you guys head over to rangedaybro.com, pick up some merch, use our discounts and affiliates page. It does really help me out. So thank you guys to everyone who does so. So we've covered accuracy, we've covered reliability. Now let's talk about the differences between the old MRGG-A-ish that I had and the actual clone correct variant for the most part, and what the biggest differences are. So back here, just at a frame, we have the original upper and handguard monolithic upper that was on this rifle for the first part of the review. This is the one that LMT's been selling for a very long time. This is the one that I purchased myself from Brownells. It's a 12.5-inch upper. The first thing you notice is that it does not have a forward assist. So when we're talking about the differences between the actual MRGG-A clone correct upper and the one that is commercially available that's been sold for forever now, the biggest difference, the most noticeable difference, is the forward assist. And then the second biggest difference is, if I can line them up, you can see that the rail is shorter on the older variant, or the commercial variant, I guess you could say. And it also has QD cups up here in the front of the handguard on 3, 6, and 9. And then it also has a QD cup over here on the back of the handguard as well. So that is all removed from the MRGG-A upper. Also, it has some lightning cuts up here that are kind of hard to see, but you can see them in the footage of the close-up footage where it's kind of skeletonized or scalloped out, almost like fluted. Back here where this guy is just solid here. It has a little fluting there on both sides, but these are much deeper and more aggressive on the MRGG-A, and I believe that was done to meet the weight requirement for the program. Now, as it's shown, this upper has a 16-inch 308 barrel in it, so it's not quite the same visual of like what the 14.5 would look like in here. It did not look bad. Again, I encourage you guys, if you haven't already, go back and watch my video review before I had this upper. That was when it was in this upper here, same barrel, and you can see kind of what it would look like if you were able to get your hands on one of the barrels, but you were not able to acquire the upper. And in fact, if I hadn't got this one sent to me from LMT, as much as I do enjoy a good clone, I am not like ride or die must have a clone. I probably wouldn't have come out of pocket for it, and I don't even know if they're available on their own. I think they're just selling entire rifles through D. Wilson, but now that they've won the contract, who knows what the future holds, to be honest with you guys. I don't have any insider information as far as what's going to be available, what's not. I just hope that this gets through to LMT and they keep a few of them at least available for us dirty civilians out here. So now that we've covered accuracy, reliability, the clone correctness of the build, we might as well just go over the accoutrement, the setup, the way I have it today.
Accoutrement? What is that shit?
So we'll start up here at the blast end and move to the ass end as always here on the channel. Starting up here at the front with the Huxworks Flow 762 Ti. The reason I love this can is because the guns don't notice that it's there. Most importantly for AR-10s, large frame gas guns, again, a big bullet, a lot of gas getting introduced into the system, especially on a DI system like this. There is a ton of gas and fouling coming back into your action when you're running a suppressor, especially a traditional baffle stack suppressor. So with the Flow 762 Ti, even though it's super dirty and definitely overdue for cleaning, it still works phenomenally well. Is it the quietest? No. Pretty quiet to the shooter, in fact, but downrange, if you're indoors, if you have an awning over you, it's pretty loud. You get a lot of reverb from the front of that can, but the gun doesn't notice it's there. It ejects at a perfect 3 o'clock position, so I really have no complaints about it. It's super lightweight. We've gotten it very, very hot. Big fan of the can. Underneath that, we just have one of their flash hiders on there. Now, it is attached to the 14.5 inch 6.5 Creedmoor MRGG-A contract barrel that I purchased from D. Wilson Manufacturing. So a big fan of this barrel. It has a pin gas block. It is chrome lined. It is not cold hammer forged or some sort of different finishing process that they do, but it has been phenomenally accurate for a chrome lined barrel. I actually have yet to clean the barrel and it keeps getting more accurate. So I don't think I'm going to clean it. I'm just going to keep letting it roll and see how it does into the future. It is like a medium to heavy profile barrel that tapers from the back to the front. I would call it probably like a medium heavy profile. It's not like an H bar or anything like that, but it's pretty thick so you don't lose accuracy after 5 or 6 rounds. On the bottom here, we do have the D. Wilson Manufacturing ARCA adapter rails for the MRP platform. They tie in super seamlessly. It's almost like they should be there from the factory. And who knows, maybe D. Wilson will get in on this contract as well. You guys can kind of see there, it creates that flat bottom, which is great for barricade work, but also clamps, bipods, tripods, things like that. So that is very cool. We have a T-Mark top pick rail. We have M-Lock all the way around. Nothing to really complain about there. No QD slots on it, no QD swivel points, so that's why we were running the Magpul up here on the top. And moving back from there, we have the Stoic Solutions barricade bag. So they do have the streamlined barricade bag, which I had it on here previously, but for the competition, I want to give myself a little bit more bag to bite into off the barricades, so I threw this bigger guy on there. It's worked phenomenally well. It does absolutely change the game as far as shooting with a bag versus without a bag. I'm a huge fan of these. They weigh practically nothing, especially the streamlined one, and they don't get in the way. They make a world of difference when you're shooting off a barricade, especially for long range. As you guys saw in the intro footage, shooting off that tank strap, we literally had a corner in which we were taking shots from 350 out to 450 yards. It gave us the stability we needed to make those impacts. Moving back from there, this optic is definitely one of the nicest optics that I own. This is the Nightforce Attacker 4-20 with the Horus Tremor 3 reticle. I'm a huge fan. Really, what can I say about this scope? It's a $3,200 scope, so it's incredibly expensive, but it is absolutely bomb-proof. Now, does it fit the build of the MRGG-A? No, I think this would definitely be more of like a 2-12 or like a 2-10 type setup. If you were talking about what the US military is going to use it for, maybe even a 1-8 or 1-10. But I wanted to stretch the legs on this thing, and especially for the PRS competition, I wanted to have a lot of data to be able to use if I had a miss, to be able to spot myself and correct on the fly, which is exactly what the Horus Tremor 3 reticle was designed to do. Now that is sitting in a Badger Condition 1 mount, some of my favorite mounts on the market. It is on a 1.7 inch height. That is my preferred height, even for LPVOs and for precision work. I know a lot of guys like a 1.5 or 1.4 even. I'm a pretty tall dude, so the 1.7s kind of fit me best, but you guys do whatever works best for you. We have a 100 Concept Scope Cap Pro on the front, so it's got a honeycomb in the front as well as a cap, so you can cap it off and then you can lift it up and take it completely out of the way if you want to get more light transmission through. But I've had no issues with light transmission on this guy. Keeps your lens clean, again, keeps you from getting spotted by reflection. And then moving back to the upper here, we already talked about the BCG, okay? This is an LMT full auto chrome BCG, and the charging handle is the LMT charging handle. They sent it with the upper, so that is clone correct. Big fan of it, ambidextrous, it works, it just works. I mean, I'm a fan of it. Low profile, so not gonna get caught up on your gear and stuff, so I like that a lot. Let's just skip on back to the stock here. It's LMT SOP mod stock. Huge fan of these. I don't know what kind of coating they put on the buffer tube, but the lockup between the stock and the buffer tube is just pretty tight. I don't know, again, what kind of coating they use to get it that tight, but there's very little play in the stock, which is really nice, again, for those precision shots, and it's just a very well-made stock. Again, buffer tube, standard mil-spec buffer tube as far as I can tell, besides whatever coating they have on there. Properly staked castle nut. And then moving down to lower, this is the Mars H lower, again, which we've talked about in the previous video on this rifle, so I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but this is a fully ambidextrous lower. So you have an ambidextrous safety selector. It is the same length on both sides, and it is 90-degree throw. It's good enough. It's very snappy. I like that. The only thing I don't like is that over here on the other side, you guys can barely see it right here, but there is a block right here preventing you from installing anything that has another position available to you. So that is super lame to see, and I'm sure the actual contract rifles we're not going to have that, so that's pretty lame. I would love to see LMT just selling a regular lowers to civilians. Moving forward from there, ambidextrous bolt catch and bolt release on the right side of the gun, which is really cool to see. It is the mirrored style, which is not my favorite. I prefer the lever up and down, similar to the Griffin, ADM, or even the SIG Spears. It does work phenomenally well for locking the bolt to the rear. Not quite as easy to release it. You have to break your grip and kind of come up and press it pretty hard. So I typically just remain hitting that paddle on the left side of the gun because of that. But again, the most important function there is being able to lock it to the rear quickly to clear malfunctions, which it does give you the ability to do. Over here on the left-hand side of the gun, we have a ambidextrous magazine release. This is the best ambi mag release I've used to date because it is so hard to hit. In fact, my finger is just too wide to come straight in and hit it. Because the shielding is so good and the button is very small. Kind of have to hit it with the tip of my finger. So I like how well shielded it is because I don't want it to accidentally be actuated on my kit. So that's really cool, and a standard magazine release on this side. Oversized trigger guard, an injection molded, like rubberized type pistol grip. Not the biggest fan of it. I don't like these finishes. I kind of like the straight up plastic stippled better, like a Magpul K2. As far as the trigger goes, again, really good trigger. No need to swap it out, especially on a assaulter variant of this rifle. It's a 2-stage trigger. If I was getting this in a 20-inch 6.5 Creedmoor variant where I'm going to be taking shots out to 1,500 yards, I'd probably switch it out. But that's pretty much it. This gun is an absolute beast. Pin gas block, ready to go to war, ready to dominate the enemy. And if you guys have deep pockets, is this the best AR-10 that money can buy right now? I would say for the versatility, it absolutely is. And we talked about this a lot more in the original review of this rifle, guys, but this thing has a quick barrel change system where you can just undo these 2 bolts right here. Using this handy dandy LMT tool that is pre-torqued to spec, you can actually just quickly in the field unbolt those 2 bolts and swap out your barrel. The only downside is you do have to remove your M-LOK attachments to do so. So these D. Wilson rails, any attachments that you have, that barrel shoulder does impact it on the way out. So you have to remove those, but still, to have a gun that you can just buy one upper, one lower, and then buy 3 or 4 different barrels, different barrel lengths, different calibers to suit your needs, to suit your mission. That is a really, really cool feature, in my opinion, that no other gun that I know of right now can do. This is the only one that I know of that you can do it if you didn't have any attachments on here within seconds. I mean, I'm talking like 15 to 20 seconds if you're quick spinning these bolts out. If anyone's asking me in 2025, like, what's the one AR-10 that you recommend? Well, if you have the cash, the Mars H is a pretty awesome platform. You don't have to necessarily go with the MRGG-A, even though it is the drip. It is super sick. These things are listed on D. Wilson for about a half a rollie right now.
Not bad, not bad. Now you. Go ahead. Damn!
Pretty darn expensive, but don't quote me on that. Go check it out for yourself. You don't need this one though. The Mars H is every bit as good as this rifle. You just need the barrel to go with it, right? You don't need this upper. It doesn't need to be clone correct, and it will still shoot exactly the same. Now that's gonna wrap it up for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for staying to the end. I really appreciate every single one of you guys for staying. Really, it does mean a lot to me. If you guys enjoyed this video even a little bit, please head over to rangedaybro.com. Check out the discounts page, our loadouts page, sign up for the email list as well. Make sure you check your subscriptions here on YouTube. And I almost completely forgot, guys. I am so sorry. The D29 round drum does work with 6.5 Creedmoor. It fed properly and locked the bolt back on the last round. Again, YouTube, it is only 29 rounds that fit in here, 29 rounds of 6.5 Creedmoor, and it does work properly. But as always, I love you guys. Christ is king. Stay safe, stay dangerous. Range Day Bro, out.